You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast, brought to you by MartinClinic.com. During the episode, the doctors share a lot of information. As awesome as the info may be, it is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. It's strictly for informational purposes.
I want to talk to you about some wrong concepts, just some myths really in the healthcare field, and I'll start with eating lots of fruit is good for you. Now, I call fruit God's candies. So they are good. There's no doubt about that. They are, they're surrounded by fiber. Therefore, you get certainly less of an insulin response than you would get from eating a chocolate bar, for example. But don't fool yourself. We live in a different world today, and this is why I called them God's candies. Like, don't overdo it with fruit. A lot of people love fruit so much that is their go-to food, and it's their go-to snack. You can really get duped because fructose, right? It's, it is a healthy sugar comparatively. But one of the things that I see the most in the office today is a condition of uric acid. And uric acid is a byproduct, by and large, of fructose. Now, everybody makes uric acid, and the problem with uric acid is it's supposed to be converted in the kidneys to urea, and then you literally pee it out. But a lot of people have no capacity or a little capacity to pee out uric acid. And those people, we always talk about insulin resistance, and one of the problems with insulin is the fact that when you have insulin resistance, you're rarely ever getting rid of all your uric acid. That creates inflammation. Uric acid is very inflammatory. So again, everybody makes it. It's made in the liver, but it is supposed to be excreted by the kidneys, and a lot of people don't do that. So this is one of the reasons I always tell people, look, be easy on the fruit. And by the way, never have fruit juice. Because you might as well have a Pepsi if you're going to have fruit juice, like you're just drinking pure fructose. And, Dr. Martin, it's Tropicana. Well, I don't care if you call it whatever you want. It still really spikes your insulin and creates a lot of uric acid. So when people come in the office and they have uric acid problems, even high blood pressure, one of the biggest things with uric acid, what it causes, like a lot of people think of uric acid and gout, but uric acid also elevates your blood pressure, and that is a huge issue in our society today. And just by not eliminating fruit, but cutting back on fruit, like I like berries, raspberries, strawberries, blueberries. You get very little insulin response and very little uric acid made. But again, be careful. I use this example. 88% of the population is metabolically challenged. Well, that's 88%. If you're part of the 12% that is not metabolically challenged, you don't have any of these issues, well then, your insulin is good. Well, then you're fine. You can enjoy fruit, and perhaps more than the person next to you. But generally, I have people, and it's changed in my practice because I used to be big in fruit and vegetables. But now everybody, if 88% of the population is metabolically challenged, well, then we got to deal with that. So if you have trouble losing weight, if you have high blood pressure, if you have any chance of having fatty liver, insulin resistance, inflammation, whatever, then you got to lower your fruit, okay? And don't drink, like when I talk about Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie, I'm talking about a protein smoothie, okay, with protein powder. I like particular bone broth because it's the best protein you can use, but if you get along with whey protein isolate, that's fine. And, use, but don't, use a little bit of berries if you want for flavor. And that's what I recommend. And even kids will love this. But I use 35% cream or a heavy cream. And, again, if you have issues with dairy, that's another problem. But I'm just saying, I wanted to tell you about the concept about one of the myths today is eating lots of fruit is good for you. So remember, your insulin doesn't differentiate that much. So if you're metabolically challenged, you really need to consider lowering your fruit intake, especially with bananas. I love bananas. I used to tell people I have long arms because I'm like a monkey, okay? I love bananas, I do. But for me, where I have trouble with my insulin, I have trouble with uric acid, I just know that about myself. It's the way I'm built, and I have to be very, very careful. There's diabetes coming out both my ears in our family. So these are the things that I really like to talk about. So be careful with bananas, be careful with grapes, especially the sweeter fruits. Even people where, apple a day keeps the doctor away. Well, be careful with that. Maybe an apple a week keeps the doctor away. Things have changed. We live in a different world.
You've reached the end of another Doctor is In podcast with your hosts, Dr. Martin Jr. and Sr. Be sure to catch our next episode, and thanks for listening.